Small hours. The darkest hours were the lighted ones, when the sun's rays came to melt their only defense, their small hours of obscurity. His small hours. He was alone now. Clay's Ludwig darted into a dead-end alley. Footsteps shuffled behind him. He turned, seeing only the broken flicker of street screens in the abandoned city. The steps came closer. He backed up. The tails of his military-issue jacket were gray with dust and ash. His toes showed through the split soles of stolen boots. East Malin boots. Enemy boots. The first Renowns to step into the alley's mouth were familiar. Clay's hands slipped on the cool metal of his gun. Boys from his unit, captured a week ago. The East's scientists could bring a body back from the dead, but they couldn't bring the souls back with them. They never gave immortality. They only added to the number of robots in human skin. Clays put his knee to the ground, aiming his rifle. His hands shook. The boys were already dead. He knew that, but he couldn't squeeze the trigger. The Renowns were silent, their stares empty. They were nothing more than a test gone wrong. The whistle of a wave cannon shattered the last of the night, the last of his courage. Clays set down his gun. The tick of metal on concrete was as loud as any cannon. He was a fox, the alley his hole, the Renowns the hounds. They took him to an old manufacturing facility. Only one escorted him in. Alive, she would have been his age, 16, the youngest of the recent draft. She led him to a converted lab room. It was empty, though he heard voices out in the hall. They walked past cages and test rings. Tubes hung from the ceiling. At the opposite wall, she opened a door and shoved him through. The north wing is empty for 5 minutes. Leave from the second exit you find. Clay stopped her from closing the door and looked into the eyes of a girl with a soul. His mouth went dry. How? My cousin, a scientist, let me go. His records say I'm a Renown. I stayed in the East to get others out. So run, you don't have long. Clays looked down the hall, toward freedom and home. You didn't run when you could. A wave cannon shook the walls. The sound seemed almost distant. Their cannons and labs hadn't drained this girl's soul, and in it, he saw a chance to survive. Maybe West Malin's only chance. Go, she said. Clays pushed back into the room, fingers fumbling to roll up his sleeve. What are you doing? They'll kill you. No, you will. He met her gaze. You have 4 minutes to make it look like you've made me into a Renown. If they believe it, he nodded toward the voices in the hall. You and I, we become a unit within their army. We crush them from within, in the small hours, when it's hard to see. She was silent a moment, but he saw something in her expression. Hope, maybe. He wondered how long she'd been alone among the soulless. Living like this, you become more Renown than human. A warning, but her hands were posed, ready to tap in false records. Clays found a new syringe and opened it. He tried to calm his heart rate. Sometimes you have to die today to live tomorrow. She'd already lived like this. He could too. She clipped a Renown's wrist collar on him. If this works, if they don't see through it and kill us, I'm Nia Ilva. Clay's Ludwig. He inserted the empty needle into his arm, marking his skin with false proof that he'd been put to death. Time to die, Clays. Her finger hesitated over a switch. He nodded her on. Welcome to our unit. At the last word, a bit of a smile broke through the grimness of her expression. A machine activated, targeting empty air in a test ring. Armies died, he knew. Hidden souls survived the small hours, their small hours, and walked the lighted ones without being seen.